In this video, I'm going to show you how to make Pluto, and you can make it in any color that you want. As you can see here, I tried different colors, but I'm going to make the yellow one for you so you can see the tongue. And you can make it orange, this is neon, and you can also make Clifford if you like in all red. So for this one you'll need about 210 yellows, 26 blacks, 2 reds, 2 greens for the collar, and 2 whites for the eyes. And for Clifford you'll need a little bit more for the tail because it's a little fluffier. So let's get started. First, for Clifford and Pluto, you want to make some feet, and I already made 3, so you'll have to make, I'll make one with you, and you'll have to make a total of 4. To do the feet, we're taking whatever color your skin is, 3 single rubber bands, and you're coming down 4 times with 3 single rubber bands. And you can just do it along here. Pause the video and set it up if you want. And I'm going to do the toes now. So taking a single rubber band, I'm going to loop it 3 times to create 4 loops. Taking another single, I'm going to double it and pulling the looped rubber bands onto the single. And I'm going to do that 3 times, or 2 more times, to create a total of 3. So taking a single, looping it 3 times to create 4 loops, taking another single, double it, and pulling it right on there, doing my last one, taking a single, looping it 3 times to create 4 loops, taking another single, double, and pulling it right onto there. So you should have 3 separate paws on your hook. And now you're going to take 2 single rubber bands, the same color, put it on your middle finger, and pulling the paws right onto the 2 single. Like that. And loop the other side right onto your hook and pull it down to even out on the rubber band, like that. And now you're going to take a single and loop it twice to create 3 loops, like that. Taking 2 single rubber bands, put it on your middle finger, and we're going to pull the looped rubber bands onto that single. Now we're going to pull the paw, first one side with 2 rubber bands on it, onto our 2 single, put our index finger through, take your hook off one side, grab the other, and pull it through, like that, getting your rubber bands onto that 2 single, and then looping it right onto the hook. And now we are adding it to the end of our paw, our foot. And you're going to do that 4 times. And once you've done that, go ahead and loop up. Reach under the paw, grabbing the bottom 3 rubber bands and looping it onto itself, creating teardrops as we go. And pulling it off your loom and put it aside for later, and you want again a total of 4 like that. So come back when you're done, and I'm going to show you how to make the ear. For the ear, if you want to make Clifford, you want to use black, red, the same color as the body. For the ear for Pluto, you want to take a single, put it 1 down. Now taking 2 singles, and we're coming 3 down with 2 single rubber bands. And now take 3 single rubber bands, and lastly take a single and looping it twice to create 3 loops. Go under the cap band, grab the bottom 2 or bottom 3 and looping it onto itself, and you want to do this twice. So you can set it up as I'm going along here, or you can pause the video and do your second ear. And then you want to take it off and put it aside to add to our body later. And let's make the eyes. We're going to take a single black or whatever eye you want and looping it 3 times to create 4 loops. Taking a single white, looping it twice on one side and twice on the other, like my other eyes. Another eye, same thing, looping it 3 times to create 4 loops. Taking another single white and looping it twice on one side and twice on the other. Now since our body, or my body, will be yellow, I'm taking a yellow and I'm pulling all the eye. Try to keep the same order right onto my single yellow. You want to get both eyes on there. Okay, once you have the eyes on that single rubber band, go ahead and carefully put it aside for later, and you want to fix it later so it looks right on the body. Sometimes it takes a little adjusting. And let's make the upper mouth. We want to make the upper mouth first, and we're going to need a holding hook to put it aside for later. Taking 2 single rubber bands, putting it from the side, the center, and the other side with 2 single rubber bands. Now taking a single, we're putting it on the second to the third peg on the side, and repeat on the other side. Taking 2 single rubber bands from the third to the fourth on both sides. Now we're closing off the upper mouth, taking 2 single rubber bands and coming in diagonally, and repeat on the other side. And we'll come in the center with 2 single rubber bands to close up our upper mouth. And push these rubber bands down so we can hook it. It shouldn't be that hard, but push it down. Now let's put some holding rubber bands, taking a single rubber band and putting it in that triangle there. Taking another single, double it, and putting it there. And taking 2 single rubber band and creating the triangle there. So those are your holding rubber bands. Now for the tip of the nose, we're taking a single black and looping it 3 times to create 4 loops. Taking a single black, double it, and pulling the looped rubber bands onto the single we just doubled, like that. And now we're adding it to that tip. So the center peg there, the center fifth. And let's loop up and we'll put it on a holding hook for later. So go under your nose, grab the top 2 and looping it up to the center. Very carefully, go back in, grab the next 2, looping it onto itself, creating teardrops in the last 2. And now you can do any row, it's okay. Just go up all the way to the top pegs. Just careful not to break your rubber band. Make sure you see teardrops up and down. And once you've done that, go ahead and take it off. The loom. Don't take these 3 off yet. We're going to put it on a holding hook to add to our body later. Very carefully. Getting it off the loom. There's the top of our nose. Now let's make the bottom. Taking 2 single rubber bands, putting it on either side. Push it down a little bit. Taking a single and coming from the center third to the side second diagonally, like that. Taking a single and putting it from the side second to the third. Repeat on the other side. Taking 2 single rubber bands and closing it up from the side third to the center fourth on both sides, like that. And we want to add our tongue, taking 2 single reds and putting it from the center third to the center fourth and pushing it down very carefully. You want to cap off that end peg in the center, looping it 3 times to create 4 loops. Let's put some holding rubber bands, taking a single, double it, putting it across third peg to third peg on the side, taking another single, double, putting from the second to the second, like that. So 2 holding rubber bands. And now we're ready to loop up. Go under the cap band, grab the top 2 red, very carefully, pulling it onto itself. Now we're at the center third. Go reach in, grab the top single, and looping it onto itself. Make sure you see your teardrops. Go back in that bottom where the cap band was, grabbing the top 2, the next top 2, and looping it onto itself. And the last bottom 2, looping it onto itself. And you can finish either side. It's all the same, just loop, reach under, grab the bottom bands, and looping it onto itself, creating teardrops. Let's take it off the loom very carefully. Don't let these go yet. We're going to put it on a holding hook to add to our face later. There's our bottom mouth with our tongue. Let's make Pluto with 2 single rubber bands from the center peg down 1, and we're coming diagonally with 2 single rubber bands, and repeat on the other side. And if you want to make Clifford, you want to only do a small hexagon with 2 single rubber bands. But since I'm doing Pluto and he has a bigger forehead, I'm taking a single and coming down once on either side. That's a single rubber band on either side. And with Clifford, you want to do 2 rubber bands down either side. And with Clifford, you want to just close it off, creating this small hexagon. But for Pluto, I'm making his face slightly bigger, so taking 2 single rubber bands, coming down from the second to the third on either side, and I'm closing it off now on either side, coming diagonally to the chin peg. So push it down, make sure it doesn't overlap. And I'm going to close off the center of the face with 2 single rubber bands now. We're done with the face. Let's do the neck. For Clifford, you're going to do the same thing, 2 with 3 single rubber bands, coming down the 4th to the 5th peg from the top. And let's set the body. We're going to take 2 single rubber bands on the 5th diagonally, and repeat on the other side. and we'll come down 3 single rubber bands. We're coming down twice. And for Clifford, you can make it as thick as you want. I did 3 rubber bands all down his body. So here I'm taking 3 single rubber bands and coming twice on both sides for Pluto. And the next set I'm coming down with 2 single rubber bands on either side for Pluto. And for Clifford, continue with 3 single rubber bands. Now for Pluto, the next set will be single on either side. And last, we are doing 2 single rubber bands on either side. And we'll close off the body with 2 single rubber bands to his bottom. Like that. There's the bottom rubber band. That's 2. So this is 3, 3, 2, 1, 2, and then 2 for Pluto. And coming down the center of the body, I'm going to come down 3 times with 3 single rubber bands to make his top body bigger and coming down narrower towards his bottom. So 3 single rubber bands coming down 3 times. That's the second, third for me, and the rest I'll come down with 2 single rubber bands. And let's put some holding rubber bands, taking 2 single rubber bands and putting it across there. And one more time. And for Clifford, I just used 2 single rubber bands all the way down, and in the center of the body was all 3. And next, we're taking 2 single rubber band, doubling it to make his waist a little thinner. So that's 2 holding, 2 single, double, and lastly 2 single rubber band, creating the triangle there. And let's add his legs, putting your hook through the loops. Make sure there should be 6 rubber bands on your hook, and adding it to the leg peg on either side. Let's add the eyes. The eyes are going on the second peg from the top, and we want to make it sure it's somewhat in the right position because it's a little harder to fix it later, getting the white around the black. So you want to make it look somewhat perfect. Taking a single rubber band, let's put it around the nose area, triangle there. Let's add the ears. Taking your ears from where you have it and adding it to the peg, the first one, on either side, like so, and you can pull it down. Taking a single, double, to make his forehead smaller, we're putting it across the ear peg, like that. And let's loop this end peg where his bottom is, loop it 3 times to create 4 loops. Now we are going to loop up, go under the cap band, grab the top 2, holding it down and looping it onto itself. Go back in, grab the next 2, looping it onto itself, creating teardrops, and the last 2. And we want to loop up to the shoulder pegs, so go on either side, looping it onto itself, and keep going up. Don't force your rubber bands. Very carefully so you see teardrops forming. And repeat on the other side. If you can't see it, pull your rubber bands back. Pull back any holding rubber bands, just loop up the bottom rubber bands. And we're adding the arms now. So taking your arms from where you had it, put it through the loops like that, grabbing the two shoulder rubber bands from the bottom, pulling the arms on and looping it right on that neck peg there in the center. Repeat on the other side. Same thing. Pull the shoulder rubber band out and looping it right in the center peg there. And let's finish up the center of his body. Just go in and loop up, creating teardrops as you go. And we're on the neck peg now, the fifth from the top. Reach in, turn it to the side, pull down those three rubber bands. Make sure you only grab the three, and looping it right up to the fourth peg in the center. And get your collar, whatever color you want. I am using the lime green, two of them. Putting it on my hook, getting all those rubber bands, there should be 6 of them, off the loom, and you're pulling it completely off, and you'll loop it back in. Just pull your collar onto those rubber bands. So my collar is on, and let's reach in that chin peg. This is pretty easy. Grabbing the top 2 and looping it right onto the nose peg. Reach back in, grab the next 2 and the last 2. And looping it right onto itself. Now we want to push it down. We're going to add the bottom of the mouth, and there should be 4 rubber bands on each set. So I'm adding it to this peg and this peg, so the side third pegs. So you can use your other hook to help if you want. Getting it so the tongue is sticking upwards. So I'm putting it one side, and I'm bringing it below the center fourth peg and hooking it onto the other side third peg, like that. So you want to connect it to here and pull it under the fourth peg. Let's add the top of the nose, and we want to add it on these 3 pegs here. So there should be, again, 4 rubber bands on each set. You want to face it so the nose is sticking up, and you're going to loop it on the third side peg, the center third, and the other side third. And if it's about to come out, just take your hook and let's loop up that side. Mine's about to come out, so I'm reaching in, grabbing the bottom 2 bands and very carefully looping it onto itself. And now my left mouth is on. I'm doing my center. Again, there should be 4 single rubber bands you're putting around that peg, and that should be secure. I'm adding my right one now, holding it down, put my hook, grabbing the bottom 2 and looping it onto itself, and you see the nice teardrop. So my face is on. Now I'm finishing up with either side. I'm reaching in, grabbing the single and looping it onto itself. Doing the other side, grabbing the single, looping it onto itself, and reach in, grabbing the bottom 2 under the ear. I want to see nice teardrops. Same thing on the other side. and looping it up to the forehead. Reach in the center of the face, grabbing the bottom two. And again, you want to make sure your eye isn't going to be caught, because you'll have to adjust it later to look right. You'll have to play with it anyways, but it helps if it's incorrectly. And let's take our final slip knot rubber band, go all the way through, grab the bottom or the slip knot rubber band and tie it off the top of the head. And for Clifford I used a black. So let's take it off the loom. So there's Pluto. You want to pull his eyes out so it looks right and in that order with the white showing around the black. Pull his ears down. Pull his arms and his legs down. He should be able to stand for you. And let's add the tail. I don't want to fidget too much with it. So for the tail, you want to take a single black and go in the bottom, his bottom from the top. Go in that center rubber band. Put your hook through. Take your single, and like a slip knot, you want to pull it through like that. Get the other side and slip it to tie it off. So now his tail's on, and you want to tie the end off. Pulling the tip through. And creating a knot at the end. Like that. Shouldn't be twisted, but if it is, gives him a little character. If you made Clifford and you want to do the tail, you want to take a single and putting it diagonally from there to there. And from there to there. And we'll come down. You can make it as long as you want, and I'm coming down 3 times with the single rubber band. Now I'm coming down the center with the single rubber band 3 times also. And closing it off to there. Now I'm looping it 3 times to create 4 loops. So that's his tail coming down diagonally, coming down 3 and closing it off, looping it 3 times to create 4 loops. Now holding rubber band, taking a single, double, putting it from this peg to that peg, single, double, this peg to that peg there. And go in under the cap band, grabbing the single, looping it up, and onto itself like that. Just keep going up. And you want to do the side first because we want to end up here on the center peg. So loop the side singles up to the top center peg and loop up the other side. Have it like that. Take it off the loom very carefully. There's the tail, and you want to take 2 single rubber bands to make it slightly longer. Getting on your hook, getting off the loom, and fix any loose rubber bands. Pulling it so it's straighter. And you want to take a single rubber band and pulling it through like that. Now to add the tail, you want, if you want to let it hang a little, you want to put it on the bottom of the rubber bands, the center rubber band, or if you want it a little higher, put it in the top. So you want to put your hook wherever you want to place your tail, go through those rubber bands, get your tail through the loops on the hook like that, pull the loops through on your hook and open it up, the opening where your hook is, and pull your tail through. And there's the tail. Again, I put it on the top so it's sticking up. You can put it on the bottom so it hangs lower. So there's Pluto and Clifford. I hope you like them. Thanks for watching.